And what's happening out there, guys? Welcome along to Friday's edition of 420 News. Guys, it's 420 News brought to you by Martin's World. And if you'd like to support the show, you can do so by signing up to the patreon.com/Martin's World. And you can also make donations in the form of bitcoins through the links that we found on the homepage of martinsworld.ie. So in saying that, guys, all of the money that will be generated there won't really be used for the show at all. What it's going to be used for is to set up and establish a cannabis activist hub and to be used to fight for cannabis legalization in Ireland. So, guys, as it is Friday, got me bong handy. So, guys, I don't know if you've already sparked them up out there, but yeah, if you haven't, get ready. I'm going to blaze them up anyway. I haven't got a whole lot grinded. But guys, how's everybody doing out there? See a few people popping in on the comments already. We got John, we got Knowledge is Power. Whoop, whoop. What's happening out there, guys? So we got some viewers already tuning in, and Facebook, YouTube, and also Twitch. Whoa, shout out to whoever is watching on Twitch. You're out there helping get it out there, guys. So nice one for everybody who interacts with the show, everybody who hits that like button, subscribe, follow, share, all of those amazing things. That's the best way you can really support the show. Just hit that like button, hit that share button, and tell your friends about it too, guys. That there's a fella out there 3 times a week for about an hour each time coming on and just giving a bit of an alternate perspective on the news in the world of cannabis, because sadly the way in which the media reports on it, it's not very respectful towards the people who are being criminalized within it. The words in which they use, the vocabulary, it's wrong, it's discriminatory. And it makes us feel like kind of lesser people and less inclined and to get up and fight for our rights, because our belief in ourselves, it's impacted upon the way in which society treats us and views us. And when I say us, guys, I'm talking about drug users. I'm not just talking about us as cannabis consumers at all. I'm talking about drug users right across the board, because we get discriminated against every bloody day. It's ridiculous, and not just the illegal ones. The legal ones too get discriminated against in different ways. But the people who use illegal drugs, geez, they're by far the worst discriminated against in that society, because it's just wrong what's been done to these people. If you use an illegal drug, you're deemed unworthy for society, because effectively that's what we're doing by locking people up. We're saying, look, you don't belong in our society. We have a prison system here to take you out of our society because there's something wrong with you. You're dysfunctional within our society. What is wrong with a person who wants to spark up a bowl from their bong? What's wrong with that? Why is that dysfunctional? How is that counterproductive to society? Why is it necessary to enforce an authority within our society to come and kick in my door and take me away, put me in handcuffs, all of these resources we afford to this authority? Why is that necessary at all? It isn't. I just don't see it. And I don't know, guys, if you've listened at all, or if you do listen to Joe Rogan and his podcast, but Carl Hart, an amazing guy. I have his book here on my shelf beside me. The high price to pay a war on drugs, I believe is the name of it. But he's an amazing guy, and he talked about that we can't hold back any longer. We can't be ashamed of what we do. If you use drugs, whatever drug that might be, you shouldn't be ashamed of it, because you might have a very, very valid reason for using it. Like myself for using cannabis, right now, why I'm going to use this cannabis before you, it's an act of civil disobedience. This is a protest. While it's going to deliver me some other benefits, because of the effects of the lovely bowl of cannabis there, it is going to deliver benefits, but there's a reason for me to do it, and I believe it is very valid. So I'm going to hit that bong, and somebody just shared the stream. So nice one there to Sean. I must sort out the writing on that box, because my placement was atrocious. It looked good when I tested it, but it didn't work out. But anyway, guys, if you're out there, if you got them, spark them up, join me in an act of civil disobedience today online. You can do it in the privacy of your own home, where you're afforded a bit of security there. But guys, I'm going to be asking you very soon to be getting out into the real world and engaging in acts of civil disobedience along with me, because this criminalisation of drug users, it can't go on in our society any longer. So here's to that. Tasty. So guys, again, as I was just saying there, I kind of feel bad now after listening to that podcast with Carl Hart, because in that podcast he says that we can't just fight for one drug to be decriminalized, and for that this it needs to be for just decriminalization of the drug user. End of. Like my after listening to that podcast, the way in which I see it now is it's the Misuse of Drugs Act. That's what must go. It literally, just straight up, the Misuse of Drugs Act. It is, I think it's unconstitutional, actually, that the Misuse of Drugs Act. Because, and I would love, again, like, I'm just speaking up my arse here, because I don't know nothing about the legal world. But I can read the human rights. I can read our constitution. And what I interpreted from it, that is that we've got certain rights, and they're being abused by the Misuse of Drugs Act 1977, and we need to challenge this. And how I'm going to challenge it is how you just saw there, that was an act of civil disobedience. I have a little bit of weed here in my grinder, and like I could just take a little pinch out of this, and I don't know if you can see this on my hand, because it's so small. So like that's so small. A little pinch of that, it's all I need, and I could walk into a guard station with that little pinch and engage civil disobedience. I can stage my protest. I could have a phone there. I can record it, and then we can publicize it afterwards, like a mass movement of civil disobedience. Lads, this isn't going to work. Just me on my own doing this. You seen the video I had up there before, where I went into the guard station and I openly challenged them on this. And as I say, I haven't yet heard back from them on that. I haven't been prosecuted because of my protest. But I hope to engage in a lot more of that. And the month is coming, the end of the month is coming close. And I vowed my New Year's resolution this year, or my kind of aims, goals I set out, was to hold one protest every month, a minimum of one protest every month. And while I say I just hit the bong there on online, that protest has to be offline. That was the commitment I made. The protesting online, it's only so effective, and we need to take our protests offline. And the way in which I see it now is, all drug users, we all need to unite, and we all need to come together and to address the fact that the Misuse of Drugs Act is unconstitutional, and it's unfairly punishing people who are already suffering. That they don't need to be suffering any longer by being punished a second time. If you're a person who's addicted to drugs, i.e. you have a health problem, why punish them for that? You're punishing somebody for having a health problem? Absolutely ridiculous. And that was one of the stories I was going to bring up there today, but I can't seem to relocate the article after misplacing it earlier today. But in the UK, there was a man in his 50s who was up in court there recently, and I believe it was in the Somerset area, at least that was the article in which it was taken from. But he was up in court for growing cannabis plants. He had two plants that were kind of mothers, and then he had 70 clones cut off of those plants also. And I think he got 18 months with maybe 12 months suspended within that. So he's going to get 6 months in prison for growing a plant which brought a major benefit, because the man suffered with Parkinson's disease. He said he was growing the plants to produce RSO oil. Like if you know anything about RSO oil, you need a condition like Parkinson's disease. You would require a decent enough amount of oil, and a consistent enough supply of it there as well, in order to get you through a couple of months. So what this man had was two plants that were mothers, and he had 70 clones off them. No, there was no other evidence outlined within the article as to say that this man was engaged in any other criminal behaviour. He said it was all for his own personal use for making RS oil, and the judge still locked him up. So, guys, I don't know what's happening over in the UK with the cannabis community and the campaigners over there, but I hope the you pick up on this sort of stuff and that there's a campaign launched to support this guy because he doesn't deserve to be in prison. He's got Parkinson's disease, for crying out loud. In fairness, come on, he's a patient. He's a guy who's suffering, as I said. He's been punished unfairly again a second time. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, so, shame on that judge. And I'm calling on the activists over there. Like, I hope I see something from you to highlight this, because it's atrocious what's going on over there. And there was another story there that I've lined up for you, which was that there's a couple over there who are currently paying £750 every month for the cannabis oil for their baby. It's absolutely ridiculous that that parents have been put in this situation, basically, but by the NHS, who are refusing to pay for the treatments for these kids, despite the benefits that it's bringing to them. No, I didn't get an opportunity there before the show because I had a bit of a meet. Just see directly where I'm taking this from. So this is coming from the Somerset Live, and it's highlighting the case where a couple have to spend £750 a month on for their baby, which has transformed her life. And yet the NHS haven't stepped in to sort this out, so these parents don't have to pay this a crazy amount of money, like every month, like £750. It's not a small sum of money. Now, as a parent for and a medicine that's literally life changing, I don't think there's any sum of money that they wouldn't be willing to pay. But the whole they're basically being held ransom, like their child's life is hanging on the line, basically because of this. And then Brexit, then it says like it is playing an effect on it. You know, I was keep talking about this there in the last few shows, but Brexit is affecting these kids. So this child's name is Clover, and here she is pictured alongside her mother Emily. And the article goes on then to say that the Somerset couple have to spend £750 every month on medical cannabis for their baby. And Clover Carkeet, who is nearing her second birthday, has epilepsy and was prescribed medical cannabis by a private doctor. So a private doctor here again prescribing cannabis over in the UK, like it's crazy, like £750. There's parents over there now paying much more than this. I'd imagine there's parents over there paying twice as much as this I reported on before. So it's crazy, and the NHS again are refusing to do anything on this. They go on to say that since then she has gone from having hundreds of seizures every week to experiencing just 3. That in itself, like any organisation out there set up by the government in which it's to provide medicine, it's going to be beneficial. Like, why aren't you doing this? Hundreds of seizures down to just 3. There's not many of your medicines that have that kind of a quality where it doesn't have all of the nasty side effects that go on with it. You know, some of these anti-epileptic drugs that are prescribed currently, like the effects that has in the human body, like Jesus, I don't want to get into it, like, but cannabis, it's such a much less harmful, less toxic kind of a medicine for a patient to be working with. And for it to be denied and to be like the back of the closet, only or access through a private doctor, shaming them. Her parents, Emily and Spencer, live in Frome and currently import Bedrolite cannabis oil from the Netherlands. And this is why Brexit's impacting on it, is because Britain has left Europe and Netherlands is in Holland, which is within Europe. So now the exchange of medicines between the borders there, it's even problemsome. I was reading an article there actually yesterday where truck drivers were getting stopped and having their sandwiches and their cartons of milk, literally their lunch taken off them, because they're not allowed to bring meats and dairy products over the border now because of Brexit. Hilarious, like, but like hilarious in that sense. But like, there's nothing laughable here in the situation of these like the seriously ill kids who they change a medicine here. What they're suggesting is that they change the suppliers of the medicine, like, and to change the medicine effectively. Like that can be very dangerous, and it's irresponsible that they're even suggesting it. To be honest, the article goes on to say that Emily Howe is 36. Said at the moment it's costing £750 a month. It changes all the time because we're constantly tweaking her dose to find the best seizure control for her, but that will get more and more as she gets bigger. But because as she gets bigger, you have to up the dosage because, as it says here, you pay more for medication as the child increases in weight, because dosage is as per kg of body weight. So some of the families we know are paying almost £2,500 a month. It's shocking amount of money, and they're paying almost the same as a mortgage to make money. Like, but like, geez, do they really? Like, why are these clinics not actively engaged in proper lobbying so these patients can maybe grow the plants themselves or nominate other people to grow it in them steads, and have it tested, and maybe if they're going to change it for something that's fucking cost effective, and it's not profit driven, you know. Horrible that profit's even considered, like, in the world of medicine. Like, but look, that's what the world we live in. I'm not trying to really change that too much, but I think with cannabis access, I think it's going to be so easy just to allow people to grow it themselves, because a lot of people will be accessing it for the first time. And sure, why not just grow it themselves and try it out there, especially if it's just chronic pain. I'm sure Alicia Marr and a few other patients out there will kind of testify to that as to why they should be allowed grow their own plants that treat their chronic pain. But look, I'll leave them to do that argument themselves. I don't want to be putting words in their mouths, and sorry there if I did. Emily goes on to say that the government claim they're trying to sort it out, but at the moment we have about 10 weeks of oil left, and they only got 2 weeks notice there as well about this kind of interruption in their supply because of Brexit. 2 weeks of notice, shocking stuff. Like, she said, we were waiting for one shipment to come in that would last us another 3 months, but we don't know if it will arrive. We know of 42 children that take Bedrolite, and they are all at risk. It's not easy to change the oils. They're all completely different. There's hundreds of compounds. One strain may work for one child and another may be completely useless. It's dangerous and life-threatening and irresponsible of the professionals involved. Like, absolutely irresponsible. Like, doctors have been allowed to prescribe medical cannabis for some conditions since 2018, and we're in 2021 now. Like, but the number of NHS prescriptions is low. With Emily adding, there are currently just there are only 3 children taking NHS prescribed medical cannabis for epilepsy. I was only aware of one, but now I'm being kind of made aware that there's 2 others who are being taken NHS prescribed medical cannabis. But the other kids still have to they can only get it through the private clinics. The NHS won't touch it for them. A press release from the campaign said, Emily and Spencer have joined a campaign called End Our Pain, and it's endourpain.org is the website, with other parents to get easier access to the medications on the NHS. A press release from the campaign said, in a letter sent out on December 15th to all UK importers, this was the 2 weeks notice they got, clinics said that our clinics and several patients groups and the Department of Health and Social Care have stated that due to the end of the transition period, prescriptions issued in the UK can no longer be lawfully dispensed in an EU member state. So because Brexit have left, our doctors are not in the EU and they can't dispense the medicine now anymore. So this letter is yet another very devastating blow to these families who have already experienced the difficulties of caring for very sick children and having to engage in very long and tiresome bloody campaigns to highlight the bloody ills that they face because of the stigma and just the ignorance that is there from the professionals who claim to care for us. Like, literally the doctors that they're taking over, you know. Absolutely scandalous what's going on out there. And I see a lot of comments flying in, guys. Thanks very much, everybody who's signing in comments and engaging with the show. Sorry for my lack of preparation and for not having this article broken down a bit better and delivered a bit more neatly. But sadly, as I say, things just got out of hand. It's Friday, and I'm still here. The show must go on. So other news I had lined up for you. Just get out my notebook. In Shannon Airport, and quite neatly packed too. Actually, I'll transition you back on over here just so you can see what I can see, and you can see it here up on the page. There's 4 bags of cannabis there, or sorry, four. There's 6 packets of cannabis, well vacuum packed inside there. Um, Again, like this impacts upon the quality of the buds, I think. Anyway, as a person who gets cannabis from a grower, and there's a lot of care in delivery, this grower would never stick his stuff into a vacuum sealed packet just like this without proper protection around it, because says a lot of quality gets lost to the plastic. And I would concur with him that like, and you probably would out there all. Anytime you've got a baggie of cannabis, and you've got all the res gets stuck to the plastic in the bag, like that's an issue, like. But look, anyway, I'm kind of going off on a tangent there on other issues, like. But in this, anyway, 22,000 euro worth of cannabis was seized, and so just over a kilo, 1.1 kilos of cannabis was discovered by revenue officials, and it was in a package that was destined for the Limerick city. But the smuggled drugs were concealed in a large pack of sharing crisps under the kios. The old kios crisps there when they were caught for growing. I'm sure you're all well aware of it anyway. But the packet of crisps was located in the parcel originating from Spain. And revenue said the seizure is part of an ongoing operation targeting the importation of illegal drugs. And they go on here asking if there's any rats out there, if there's any snitches. And I don't think there's any snitches who listen to this show. And I think you're all a bunch of cool people out there, I'd imagine, taking the time out to listen to this nut job go on about cannabis and drugs. But look, there's a number there if you want to ring and be a snitch. I don't advise you do it at all. And Jesus, I'm popping on over here to the next story, and it's a bit more positive. And this was something that was sent to me from a listener, the show, and it's shout out to Christy out there. Christy sent me in a message, and it was that he's a part of this Irish gardening group, and the gardening group is nothing at all to do with cannabis. And somebody just put up a random post in there to say this, that isn't it a pity that it is against the law to have this beautiful plant grow in our garden. What is everyone's view on this? And I don't have all the comments inside there, but because look, I just don't want to be exposing it. It was a private group. I don't have permission everybody to be exposing their views and opinions, so I respect it. But it was largely positive, guys. So I just wanted to transition there between that. Like, you've on one hand here, we've our authorities, the revenue, and they're seizing a pile of cannabis. But on the other hand, like, just the general public, just say to people within this Irish gardening group, they're by and large in support of being able to grow this plant. A lot of them even for just its ornamental bloody purposes, like they were just like, yeah, it's a really cool plant to grow. It's very interesting. The smells, it's just a very interesting plant to grow, and it's actually quite nice. It's for decorative purposes within the garden. And it is a shame they're not actually allowed access to it to be able to grow it. But a lot of the people within the group, they were largely supportive of their ability, the desire to grow it, and on one's right to grow it. And again, going back to human rights. But it's a shame. It is a shame that we aren't allowed to grow this. Like, you see it there. It's grand. It's just a plant. It's just a plant. There is nothing deadly about this. Like that, the fact that there's guys out there in a uniform who can come to your house armed with deadly weapons, and to take you away for just growing this plant, because you might suffer with Parkinson's disease, but because your child might have epilepsy and you can't afford the medicine. Really, in fairness, because you got chronic pain, and our government are ignorant arseholes who won't pass proper policy to allow you access to it. And if you ever get arrested, guys, and you want to publicise a campaign, guys, if you get stopped and searched tomorrow with a nudge in your pocket and you want to get a campaign going, I will more than happily support you. More than happy support you, because everybody should have a right to access this. It's a crime. It's just a crime that it's illegal. That's the real crime, that this is illegal, like, and it needs to end. And it's only going to end, guys, with us, the people. We are the people. We live in a democracy. Who the F are these government? Like, the government, in fairness, they're elected by us, for us, and they're not acting in favor or in representation of what the people want. So we really do need to just up our game. Sending letters and all of this stuff, it's really good, but sadly they just ignore us. Look at Vera Toomey, like, and what she has done. Like you tell me that there's any amount of letters that we could have sent that could match the watch it sends. It's absolutely crazy, guys, and we need to take inspiration from the likes of Vera out there, and the other patients and the other campaigners who've really set an example for us, and what we've to do. That they're patients at the end of the day, and are parents of patients too, who've taken a lot of the time out to do this. But really, the law is because of people say like me. I don't suffer majorly from any chronic condition, but I enjoy cannabis recreationally. I hate that term, but they use it. They use it, and I just that's what they use. So that's what they label it, and that's what I use. But I use it for that reason, and there's many of us out there who use it for that reason. But you can argue therapeutic, you can argue religious, you can argue for sport reasons, for whatever reason outside of medical. You can argue, guys. The law is because of us, and we need to get our act together, get our asses off the seats, and get out there onto the street and engage in this. We really do. It's a sad affair that these laws remain in place, and they only remain in place because we let them. I really do let them. Like, I'm sorry I don't have it lined up, man. but that meme, where the government are out in the board over the cliff, and all of the people are standing there, kind of keeping balance to it, and the people not realizing how they just walked away, like, and not supported the government. Like, that government is going to fall. If the government falls without the support of the people, the policy currently is detrimental to our society, and we need to fucking act to sort this out, like, because I don't want my kids growing up in a world where the drugs are sold by bloody drug dealers out there on the streets. That's sad. That's sick. That's sick. Like that if my daughters, when they grow up, one of them's 13 now, going on 14 this year, like, and another 4 years she'll be 18, a consenting adult where she can walk in and buy alcohol. And heavens forbid we ever made alcohol illegal, and she had to go and get that illegally on the street where all those risks are associated with the contamination. But likewise, if she wants to go and get cannabis, Jesus Christ, I hope we've changed things by then, because I don't want her to be facing the same things where she could be recruited into drug dealing just because of her preference of drug that she likes, As I say, as a young person going to get alcohol, I was never at risk of being recruited into being an alcohol salesperson, an alcohol dealer, a drug dealer essentially with alcohol. We don't even use that term. If a person gets caught with a load of alcohol illegally, we don't even use the term drug dealer for that person, an alcohol smuggler maybe, or a person selling alcohol without a license. We don't even call him a drug dealer this is just messed up, guys, and it's detrimental to just the way in which things go. It's just it's ridiculous. Like, it's frustrating that we're still here. And then in the final piece of news then for you today, guys, is that it was a headline that caught my eye, and I'd like to just finish off with it. It is that the global cannabis market is going to be worth, it's going to be estimated to be worth by 2024. 2024 is only just 3 years away, okay? $42 billion. Okay, that's not euros. It's about 40 billion euro, maybe 30 billion euro. I'm not too sure. I've over my head. All right, what's that in crypto? That's probably more relevant. Shout out to knowledge is power. But this has said here that the global cannabis market revenues is predicted to surpass 42 billion by 2024. Guys, that is absolutely crazy. Like, and there's people still in prison now currently because of cannabis, and the global market's going to be worth 20 or 42 billion by 2024, and there's still people in prison. Like, how can anybody out there making money off this really sleep at night? Like, when this is going on, it's crazy to think that this stuff is kind of going on. There's people out there on one hand trading stocks and shit in cannabis, and meanwhile there's people still getting arrested for it. There's still patients out there without it suffering, and there's people just profiting off it, selling stocks. Man, what the hell is going on? What's wrong with this bloody world? Like, where money is more important. Like, and I'm not going to read down through this at all because it's a bit boring, it's a bit long, and I just thought the headline was enough. Global cannabis market revenues predicted to surpass 42 billion by 2024, and still here in Ireland, we're in the dark on this. Like literally, like the lights are off. There's people there. There's lights are off though. We can't do nothing. Literally, there's people willing. Look at Little Collins, right? They're doing their bit with the CBD industry and their CBD cafe, but their revenue are still chasing them. The cops are still coming down on them. Our government are still acting against them. Do you know, they're trying to do their bit, like for and the Irish scene, but still the government act against them. People like myself, then I come out from the academic point where I wanted to do research in cannabis. I would love to be able to just further the understanding of it, and I don't want to make profits. I don't want to set up some private company and patent some bloody process or some bloody specific niche of medicine in order to just like make a load of money. That's not me. Like, if I was to do that, if I was to set a patent out there, it would be under the name of a non-profit enterprise where money just goes straight back to the patients, straight back to the community, straight back to the researchers. Guys, if I make my fair wages, whatever it is I do, for whatever job I do, I just want a fair wage. I don't want to be making a bloody million every week selling a pile of cannabis or to be trading stocks or any of that other stuff. Like, I'd be more than happy to be working in a laboratory, to be working in a clinical setting, making just a normal working man's wage, whatever that bloody might be, in line with the living standards, enabling me to maybe go on one or two holidays a year, and to enjoy my time with my family too, and my time off. Like, I'm more than happy. I'm more than happy. I've no mission to do this. Like, so there's no ulterior motives behind me doing what I do. And I just hate that there's people out there trading stocks making so much fucking money. Our government now, like, I know it. I hear people saying it, like, we have to show the government how much money can be made off it. We have to show the government how much money. You're like, go away with your money. Like, literally, go away with your money. There's people being locked up. There's families being torn apart. There's patients suffering. There's people who just aren't able to live their life in the way in which they want to live it. And people keep on about money. Money, like literally money. I'm sick to death of money. Do you don't need the fact that I need it to put food in my fridge and to keep a roof over my head. Like, I have no interest in the stuff. And it pisses me off that people go on about it. Like, and I understand the need for it. I understand the need for capitalism. And don't get me wrong. I am a bit of a nut job, but I'm not that much of a nut job where I think everything should be free or anything. But close to, close to, it's a plant you grow. It's a seed that goes into the ground, and the medicine you get off it, it's tremendous. The kids, the people with Parkinson's, the people out there with the cancer, the Crohn's disease. Oh my God, the list goes on. Like, and people want to make profit to sell them a medicine for a seed you can put into the ground, the plant you grow from it, and oil you procure from that plant. Guys, come on, what kind of a sad world are we living in? Like, and we want to keep this shit illegal, like. I'm going to finish, guys, with a message as well. Actually, I know I was saying I was going to finish with that one on the value of the global revenue of the cannabis market, but this was a message I got into the show as well, to my page, and it was, hi Martin, watching, and had to share my story with these, and this is his word and not mine, but I've used this in the past as well towards our Gardaí, but he calls them Nazis. He says, with these Nazis we call Gardaí, raided again yesterday. That's 3 times in the last year, and I'm at my wit's end. Was in court for less than a gram in November and got 2 months suspended sentence and a €250 fine. And if I'm up again within a year, I'll serve said sentence. When they came yesterday, I asked them to show me the warrant, and they left without showing me and any documents as to why they entered my home. They took my medicine, which I use for my back injury I got back in the late 90s. I've taken every painkiller under the sun and get nauseous whenever I take them. But sitting at home, and he used the words effing, I'm an effing criminal, fucking criminal, doing nothing to nobody. This is starting to affect my mental health, and as I'm not a criminal, I'm being labelled so, and he's being labelled so. It is really getting me down. Is there anything I or you might be able to recommend as a course of action I can take? And many thanks. And I asked this person if it was okay if I share this message, and they were more than happy to allow me to read that out. And if anybody else has any similar stories to get in touch, to share them with me, guys. If you even want to sit down and record a video, like I'd be more than happy to be having like a little segment dedicated to your experiences out there. The show is much more about me. That this whole campaign is much more about me at all. Like, well, my name is on the hat, but the 420 news, that this whole thing is just much. It's much more. I'm just using my experience as a person to improve the world around me for everybody else who's out there living it. And this experience, like I can relate to it because I feel that anger inside, like, you know, that the Gardaí are Nazis. Like, that's a very extreme way to lend to go to call a person like a Nazi because of what the Nazis done. Like, but again, they take the humane aspect out of it, like the human, like I'm just doing my job. But you're taking my back medicine. I'm a chronic pain sufferer. Like, you know, there's a lot of evidence out there to support the fact that I am in chronic, that the cannabis helps my chronic pain, and they don't help that. They don't like listen to that argument at all from that person. You know, so I can understand why they call them Nazis. I've been there. I've been at the side of the road with my kids, my dogs taken out of the car, searched. Absolutely ridiculous what they done to us back then. And so I can relate to that feeling because, like I was saying it to the guards at the time, can you not see the harms what you're doing? It's like you're stopping and searching me for cannabis. Like, I have my kids here with me. Like, I was like, I was pretty much crying at the side of the road. My kids seeing me crying and in distress and angry towards the guards, worried if I was going to be taken away. I had nothing in the car at the time, thank God. But we were on the way to a dog show, a family day out, completely upset by the guards who were on a mission to find some cannabis. Like, come on, like, they're again Nazis. Like, I don't blame the guy for using that because I can really relate to where that feeling is coming from. Like, when they just where you can't get through to the human inside a person behind the uniform because all they are is uniform. They're like robots, fucking RoboCops. Maybe that's maybe a more appropriate term for them, RoboCops, because they're bloody robots. They're not humans, and it's sad, like, because they become the enemy then. A very good podcast. I'd like to highlight it, guys. It's the Policed podcast, and they have an episode out there. I can't remember the name of the host of the podcast. Forgive me, but the name of the podcast is the Policed podcast, and there was an episode called Stop and Search, it's called. So look that up, guys. Go give that a listen. And it's a bunch of young people within the podcast being interviewed from above in the north. I think it's up above in Donegal. It's the interviews are done. Excuse me. But amazing stuff. And it really highlights the effect of prohibition and what it does to the Gardaí and the police, the authority within the community, and how young people then are in turn targeted in that. And a lot of the times young people from certain backgrounds, you know, young people who are going to be more at risk of behaving in a certain way because they come from a certain family, you know. So guys, check that out, really good one. And that's all for today, guys. Thanks very much for everybody who's out there, who's taking the time to listen to the show, who's going to watch the show back later, guys. Do keep an eye out on the Martin's World page. I will be engaging. Oh, I see Knowledge is Power there has updated me with Dr. Vicky Conway, and she's from Cork and she lives in Donegal, and she is the host of the Policed podcast. A really good podcast, really well worth listening. She has stuff up there about sex workers as well, and some other stuff, all relevant to the Irish kind of environment. So really well worth a listen. But if you're going to start somewhere, start with that Stop and Search one, and then go back and give the others a listen there as well. Really good stuff. So to the comments I will go then as well, guys. So we have a couple of comments coming in there, guys, and thanks very much to everybody who's taken part in the show, in the stream today. We've comments coming in on YouTube, Twitch and Facebook. So nice one, Bono420 out there on Twitch, holding tough. So you've remained number one there throughout the whole stream. So thanks very much there, Bono, man. Dedicated shout out just for you, man. And to everybody else as well after that. Patter Robinson, he says that, have you seen the prices of low strength legal oils? It's a joke, for fuck's sake. And buying our oils are our face prosecution. It's a joke. It is a real joke. The patients aren't afforded the opportunity to get it in a more cheaper manner where maybe they can nominate somebody in the community they trust. Again, not these kids who need a specific one, but the people out there in chronic pain and all of that stuff who don't need such high grade medicine, and pardon the pun. I'm only getting certain comments actually. Jeez, there's so many comments coming through. I thought I might have been able to go back to the very start of all the comments. Come on. Got a new follower there as well on Twitch. I think that's coming in from. I must update that little thing that pops up. John Finnegan on Facebook there shouting out hello to everybody. He says, suck that up, Martin boy. And I was about to bang it. Nice one. Nice one for tuning in there, John. Sean Crack, what's happening out there as well? Ashlyn Hudson adds in a comment there as well. She says that it's probably only legal cannabis. Imagine the illegal market too. And you're dead right. You look in Canada, let's say it's factored into the equation there in that calculation. Like Canada has a massive illegal market still. So yeah, when you factor illegal cannabis into it, like you're into the hundreds of billions, I would say. It's crazy. But I think once you take away the illegal aspect of it and open up the doors, once we don't have all these stupid bloody regulations getting in the way of people producing a low cost, high quality product, I believe that value of the market will go down, because I think it's overinflated currently just because of prohibition. So once prohibition gets out of the way, once we have a more open market, we will certainly see that price go down. But currently, was prohibition, as you say, as the illegal market exists, man, that value is hundreds of billions. So you're dead right. Thanks there for that shout out to Ashlyn and the Cannabis Activist Alliance as well, guys. Check that out on Facebook if you haven't been made aware of that group. Weekly meetings on a Tuesday evening, 9 o'clock. So if you want to get involved, the Cannabis Activist Alliance. Guys, I just see we got 2 viewers on Twitch. Shout out to that second viewer on Twitch. Ooh, coming up in the world. Happy days. Some more comments coming in there from Facebook as well. So from Eleanor, hello Eleanor, thanks very much for popping into the show. Many contradictions and does not make sense. So many contradictions. It's baffling really what's going on out there. Like, and it's money. It's money. Like again, money. That bloody corrupting thing. I think that's what's the biggest obstacle in the way of opening up the doors, as to why a community can't get together along in hands with the local university to grow the plants for the patients for the low cost. The guys, like, it's a no-brainer. It's there. It's an easy done thing if the policymakers and the politicians. I'm going to bitch slap anybody who comes to me in person and talks about me. You know. Other comments coming in there. Dadu Hutton, he says, love the stream. Thanks very much, Dadu. And Kenny says, I'll get you on Twitch later. Nice one, Ken, for that. And he says he forgot his password. And he says, great show as well, Martin. Thanks very much for that, Ken, man. Appreciate it. And thanks for taking part. Guys, it's amazing the amount of supporters who've kind of come and followed the show and gotten involved, and the messages I've gotten as well over time, and the minds in which I've kind of changed, and the way in which people think about things now, because of just expressing my views and opinions and just trying to twist the way in which the news is delivered. Like, it's incredible. I'm happy I've taken the time to do this, and I'm delighted that you've all taken the time to come along with me on this journey. So there's some lovely filth out there. He says, what's the crack, people? Hope you're all well. And that's coming in from YouTube. So what's happening, man? And thanks coming in, joining the show. Greenbeard is out there as well, guys. Shout out to Percy's Greenbeard, our Percy's Grow Room, and the High and Homegrown podcast crew. He says, absolutely disgraceful. And I'd imagine you're on about the case maybe with the parents there. Again, I should be watching these comments coming in, but anyhow, things just get away at me. I'll get a bit more professional, guys. I'll get a bit more adapt to all of this stuff coming in as we go. And I'm looking to to maybe incorporate a few more people into the show actually as well, correspondents from around the country. So keep an eye out on the show. It's gonna change a little bit in time to come. But look, it's all in the not in venture, not in gains. In the hopefully improve the entertainment factor of the show. But we're always sticking with the same strong message that the wish we should. Other comments coming in as well from Sean. He says, was filling in the pre-op nurse about cannabis benefits and was listening and asking questions right up till I mentioned the oil, and she ran a mile. I don't know who the pre-op nurse is at all. Your own pre-op nurse actually. Jeez, sorry man. I thought that was like a podcast there for a second. That's your own pre-op nurse, and she ran a mile once you started talking about because they can't talk about this. They can't give you any advice because it's illegal and it's worrisome for them. License and all of this kind of crap comes into mind. So yeah, it's a problem there that the professionals won't talk with you because of the illegality of it. Policymakers, get this shit sorted. Dave Gorman, what's up, man? Happening? Nice one for joining in. And he just says sup, S-U-P. So it's going down. Other comments coming in there. Kit Murray says, shit, they seized my spec. Shit, was that your stuff coming into Limerick, was it? Man, what a heartbreaker. If you're down in Cork at all, if you've any essential reasons for travelling outside your 5 kilometres, give me a shout, man. I've a little bit extra there in my grinder. I can roll up a spare one there for you. Excuse me. Russell Banta, he says, so I've been bounced from Max E. Oh man, that's a tongue twister. Max Ilofaciocal. It's a pain pill anyway, guys. It's MAXILLOFACIAL. So it's a tongue twister. Sorry, and I have a bit of cotton mouth going on, and I don't have proper lubrication with me to sort it out, so I'm not even going to try it anymore. So he says that to a pain specialist and to another pain specialist in Cork City, ears, nose and throat doctor in Cork City, and a dental surgeon after a road traffic accident. The pain specialist said there is no evidence to support the use of cannabis for the management in neuropathic pain. Well, that's just what in the name of God? Like, well, what rock are these guys living under? And again, the license comes to mind. The guys are only protecting themselves, and they're not putting their patient's best interest at heart first. And that's a problem. That's a big problem. Thanks for sharing your story there, and I'm happy that I got the time to read that out. Other comments coming in there as well from Alison Hudson. She says, snitches get stitches. And and Kitmore says it will be legal and it will just take some time to get it done. And it worries me that it will be legal, but I don't want it to even be legal anymore. I just want it to be decriminalised. Decriminalise cannabis, just end it. If they want to make legal markets and sort out regulations, that's up to the policymakers and all that crack. But for me as an individual, as a citizen of this country, I just want them to see the end of the criminalisation of drug users, of cannabis consumers, right across the board. All drug users and cannabis consumers are included within that. But I'm not just going to fight for one any longer. I'm going to fight for them all. It needs to end. The Misuse of Drugs Act, and it needs to go. Politicians, take note. Misuse of Drugs Act. Just scrap it. Scrap it. There might be one or two bits inside there that you might want to keep on to sorting out your doctors and all of this kind of crack with the scheduling of whatever. But literally, the Misuse of Drugs Act, get rid of it. Like the personal possession drugs part, get rid of it all. Man. Get rid of it. Faced with a COVID fine. Right. Now, I was hoping somebody would say that, guys, and this is in reaction to my call to action for people to get out and protest, people on the street. My video going back in August, Cork City Civil Disobedience protest. Guys, we can all go to our local Garda station, and guys, I'm sure at least 2 people out there who consume cannabis with you, who you're engaged with, where you go out and get cannabis. Guys, it's unity in the community. We need to get together, and it's united. We need to come together and just get out there and do this. Once a week, maybe once a month. Guys, I know you are going to paint a bit of a target on yourselves, but hopefully through doing it, it might start with me in one day. It might start with me and 5 other people. And hopefully we can grow that, like to 10 other people, source a bit of heroin. And I think I might go to the Garda station with a bit of heroin too, because they need to be decriminalised as well. A personal amount of heroin to target, just to decriminalise the drug user. And I'm going to repeat this as much as necessary, because it's wrong, guys. It's just wrong that people are criminalised for just the desire to use a substance for whatever reason that individual chooses, whether it be for escape of a traumatic event, or whether it be for just purely pleasurable or curiosity, reasons. I'm not going to judge that person. But what I do want to see in place in our society is help for people who might get addicted to substances like that. Because I'm not going to say there isn't going to be harms associated with these substances, but by God, the harms associated with the substance are nowhere near the harms caused by the prohibition of drugs. Other comments coming in there, guys. Winemark 200. Oh no, sorry. The protests again. Why you won't get arrested? What I was going to get to, the point I was making on that, is we can go to a local Garda station. You, 2, 3 other people. Wear your masks, socially distance, keep your 2 meters apart, and go in with your little bit of cannabis and just present it. We can all do that, and we can all do our little videos. Have one person there holding the camera, recording the whole affair. One person goes up, present themselves. The next person goes up, present themselves. The next person goes up, present themselves. There you go, 3 people now. A report filed. Gardaí's time taken up, therefore kind of highlighting the harms prohibition does in our society, and where it occupies Gardaí's time, or the guardians of the peace, the people who are supposed to be keeping us safe. How are they keeping us safe? By targeting drug users. Are any of you at risk of drug users? No, you're at risk from thieves, rapists and murderers. Do some drug users engage in criminal behaviour? Yes. Why do they engage in that criminal behaviour? Because they have to steal to pay for their drugs. Why are they stealing to pay for their drugs? Because they can't get jobs, because they're probably drug addicts and they need help. And they're being criminalised in society. If we help them, let's say if you're a drug addict, well, we have an addiction centre, and can be prescribed drugs. That person's not going to rob from you anymore. They're now in an addiction centre. They're being prescribed their diamorphine, which is aka heroin. They're being prescribed that now, and they no longer need to steal for it, and they're in the care of a health professional. That they can see maybe a career counsellor, they can see a community counsellor, they can see somebody who can talk to them to restore some importance of their position within the community, so they can bloody get on with their lives again. Put back together the pieces of whatever it is, because people who get addicted to drugs, a lot of the times, shout out to Gabor Mate. If you haven't heard of Gabor Mate, check his stuff out. People don't just get addicted to drugs for no bloody reason. It's a very small minority of people who fall into that category. Very small minority. Majority of people, it's for very, very complex reasons, and to punish them, it's wrong. But again, I might have went off on a tangent there on that. But again, we can't get punished because of it. Don't let COVID be an excuse not to go out and protest, guys. That's the point I was making on that big long-winded story. I'm going to have to bounce, guys, because I should have been at a meeting there actually 20 minutes ago. Apologies. So to everybody who's gotten comments in and who's taken part in the show, thanks very much, guys. Appreciate everybody's contributions. Much love to you all out there, guys, and again, apologies for having to run. Stay